In Generation 3, Swampert is the strongest of the 3 starter Pokemon in competitive singles. Swampert is a bit like the original Landorus Therian or Great Tusk, an incredibly reliable defensive backbone that provides unmatched utility to a team. Swampert is one of the most consistently used Pokemon in high-level play, and although it's mostly known for its defensive role, this Pokemon has a great amount of variety in the way it can be used. Swampert can fit on almost every type of team, and can be used both defensively and offensively. Let's take a look at what makes Swampert so excellent in Gen 3 OU. But first, some unfortunate news. The famous Pokemon Pawmot appears to have been captured by the dastardly Iron Fellow before we could reach our rendezvous meeting point. We're gonna need to do something about this if we want Pawmot to resurrect Great Tusk and defeat Iron Mugulis for good. The honorable and trustworthy Pokemon Iron Treads might be able to scan the area with his augmented robotic vision and rescue Pawmot, but only if you like this video and subscribe to the Jimothy Cool channel. 59.3% of you are not only glad that Pawmot was captured, you also want Great Tusk to stay out of the picture. Thank you. This stat distribution may not look that fantastic, but back in Gen 3 OU, this was very solid. Swampert's great base HP and attack, and decent defenses, are good for the lower power level environment of Gen 3. But what really makes Swampert so excellent defensively is its water-ground type combination. This is one of the absolute best defensive type combinations you can get. Water and ground complement each other perfectly, removing all of each other's weaknesses except for grass. This typing is particularly good in Gen 3 OU, where Tyranitar is the king. Rock resistance and sandstorm immunity are some of the most valuable traits a Pokemon can have in this format. Steel resistance is also great to be able to switch in safely against Metagross and resist Meteor Mash. Metagross is another very popular top tier Pokemon. Your ground stab off the back of that great base attack can also threaten both of these Pokemon. With access to Ice Beam and a decent 85 base special attack, you can even switch in against Dragon Dance Salamence and threaten a one-hit KO against it. Swampert is able to defensively answer all of the top physical attackers in the format. Swampert has the standard water-type starter Pokemon ability Torrent, which increases the damage of water-type attacks by 1.5 times when you're at 1/3 of your max HP or less. In later generations, this ability and its counterparts aren't hugely relevant in competitive, but in Gen 3, being hit into torrent range by particular hits is a common occurrence, and this damage increase comes up quite a lot. This ability is really nice and can help Swampert finish off Pokemon with the damage boost that it otherwise couldn't. Swampert is top tier, not really because of its inherent power, but because of how well it fits into this metagame and handles all of these common matchups at once. Swampert also hits pretty hard for a primarily defensive Pokemon. Even the standard defensive set with full investment in bulk can be difficult to switch into. You can do good damage to Blissey with your Earthquakes, good damage to Skarmory with Hydro Pump, and even the best Swampert switch in Celebi takes quite a bit of chip damage from Ice Beam. The standard defensive set uses Earthquake, Hydro Pump or Surf, Ice Beam and Protect, but you can mix and match these options quite a bit. Roar is great if your team needs some phasing and another way to rack up Spike's chip damage. Toxic can be good to cripple important enemies or force out Blissey. Refresh can be great to heal you from Toxic and Burn. Rest can be used on some teams if you have Aromatherapy or Heal Bell support, and want a direct form of healing and status management for Swampert. Even Focus Punch is a good way to punish Blissey, either as they're trying to switch in against a water move, or to catch them as they're using Soft Boiled or a status move. And even Curse can be used to help you 1v1 passive Pokemon like Suicune and Snorlax in an endgame situation. Swampert can also be used as an offensive Pokemon, since Swampert can solidly check physical threats even without any defensive investment at all, thanks to its excellent natural bulk and typing. Investing in special attack can let you get even more out of your Swampert as you're forcing the enemy out. Offensive Swampert is extremely difficult to safely switch into and can absolutely tear apart certain defensive cores. The standard offensive Swampert set uses Hydro Pump, Earthquake, Ice Beam and Focus Punch. A common speed benchmark is investing just enough to outrun Claydol. This speed benchmark is especially useful on Spike's teams. Offensive Swampert can scare most of the metagame with this moveset and also directly threaten Gen 3's most common rapid spinner with super effective stab. Foregoing speed and investing in HP is another valid way to go with this set if you want to be more sturdy. This incredible offensive momentum, along with still acting as a decent check to important Pokemon like Tyranitar and Salamence, makes offensive Swampert a great addition to many teams. Another more aggressive direction you can go in with Swampert is the Endeavor Salakberry set. This set can use substitute repeatedly until Swampert eats its Salakberry. With maximum speed investment and the boost from the berry, you reach an impressive 360 speed, which outruns a large portion of the metagame. Now that you're at low health, you can use Endeavor, which is a move that deals enough damage to the enemy to make their health equal to yours. This serves to basically trade your Swampert with the enemy Pokemon, which can be really useful in certain offensive teams that benefit from trading. This Swampert set will trade 1-for-1 at worst in most games, but sometimes it will even trade up. If you successfully use Endeavor while at 1 HP against an enemy who is not sand immune, they will be KO'd by the Sandstorm chip damage. Now you can Endeavor their next Pokemon. In the right situations, this set can cause serious damage and put you way ahead. Since Swampert is so popular, it naturally has a huge target on its back. With that exploitable ×4 weakness to grass, grass coverage moves are everywhere, and some sets are designed specifically to lure in Swampert. Even specific team styles exist to put as much pressure on Swampert as possible and eventually eliminate it. In chess, there is a concept called overloading, where if one piece is trying to defend against too many things at once, it will eventually be broken through and won't be able to defend everything. A similar thing can happen to Swampert in Gen 3 OU. Although Swampert is great for its ability to check so many different things at once, if your opponent is using more than one of these threats and forcing in Swampert every time, Swampert is eventually going to be worn down and overloaded. Some teams can achieve this simply by forcing in Swampert repeatedly and wearing it down with spikes, chip damage, and moves like Aerodactyl Double Edge, eventually damaging it to the point where one of the rock type threats can take it out and win the game. This style of team is called rock spam, but some teams go even harder on punishing Swampert with sets like HP Grass Mixed Metagross, which can lure in Swampert and deal massive damage to it with an unexpected super effective coverage move. Mixed attacking sets can also be used on both Tyranitar and Salamence to deal huge tip damage to Swampert with HP Grass, and enable other teammates that appreciate Swampert being eliminated. Keeping Swampert healthy enough to answer the things it needs to, and also not over-relying on Swampert too much, is very important when navigating a game against dangerous physical threats. I absolutely love Gen 3 Swampert, and I think this should be the blueprint for how defensive Pokemon are designed. It's extremely reliable and versatile, but it also has its exploitable weaknesses. While it's extremely sturdy, its health is limited since it has no immediate healing moves like Recover. Not taking too much damage on your Swampert and maintaining its health is a very important aspect of using it. Swampert is nothing but a positive presence in the metagame that adds to the nuance and strategic resource management that I love so much about Gen 3 OU. What do you think of Swampert? Who's your favorite of the 3 starter Pokemon in Gen 3? And what would you like me to talk about next? Let me know down below in the comments, and thank you for watching. This video topic was requested by Tier 2 patron Tailored Muffin. Thank you for the support, and thank you to the rest of the patrons as well. Become a Tier 2 patron to suggest a Pokemon for me to cover in a short, informative video just like this one, and to appear on this magnificent end screen alongside your favorite Pokemon.
The money got different, 'cause of what I'm spending. The money got different.
Oh, it's
'Cause of what
Magneton!
I'm spending.
Whoa!
The money
KO'd
got
by
different.
one hit! It
'Cause
scattered
of what I'm
spikes!
spending. The money got different. 'Cause of what I'm spending.